Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we'll be learning about comparative advantage. With that said, let's get into it. So the easiest way to learn something is definitely with an example problem, and that's what we'll be looking at today. So here we have two countries, the first being Canada and the second being the United States. And in this example, we're saying that they can produce one of two types of athletes. They can either produce hockey athletes, and Canada can produce 225 players, or the United States can produce 288 players. Alternatively, instead of making hockey players, or in conjunction with making hockey players, they can also make basketball players. Now, Canada can only make 36 players. However, the United States can make 270 players. And we're assuming that the length of time to make these numbers is 9 years for both countries. So how you would read this is that in 9 years, Canada can either produce 225 hockey players or 36 basketball players. And in the same 9 years, the United States can either produce 288 hockey players or 270 basketball players. So with the example set up, let's take a look at comparative advantage. Now, comparative advantage, to remind you, is which country can produce players at a lower opportunity cost than the other country. Now, a nice easy formula for opportunity cost that I always teach my students, because I really think this is the easiest way to conceptualize it, is that opportunity cost is equal to what you sacrifice divided by what you gain. So let's take a look at the opportunity costs of Canada first. Let's look at the opportunity cost of hockey players. So the cost or the sacrifice to produce hockey players is basketball players, because if they're producing hockey players, then they must be giving up the production of, or the training of, basketball players. So Canada gives up 36 basketball players in order to produce 225 hockey players. So if I reduce my fraction, I get 4 over 25, or 0.16 basketball players. And how you think of this is that it costs Canada 0.16 basketball players in order to train up one hockey player. Now, if I followed the same formula for basketball players, I'll get something like this. I have to give up 225 hockey players in order to make 36 basketball players. Now, if I reduce this fraction, it will be 25 over 4, which you might notice is the reciprocal of the previous fraction, or 6.25 hockey players. And what this means is that in order for Canada to produce just one basketball player, they must give up the production of 6.25 hockey players. Let's look at the opportunity costs for the United States. So the opportunity cost for hockey players looks like this. The United States must give up 270 basketball players in order to gain 288 hockey players. If I reduce this fraction, it ends up being 30 divided by 32, which is 0.9375 basketball players. And how you read this is that one hockey player would cost the United States 0.9375 basketball players. That's how many basketball players they could have trained up in the same time that they trained one hockey player. Looking at the opportunity cost of basketball players, well, the United States must give up 288 hockey players, and they'll gain 270 basketball players. And so if I reduce this fraction, I get 32 over 30, or 1.06 repeated hockey players. Now, once again, I'm going to compare the two countries to see which has the lower opportunity cost. Starting with basketball players. Well, here, 0.16 is obviously smaller than 0.9375. And so I would say that the lower opportunity cost for hockey players is actually awarded to Canada here, because they can make a hockey player by giving up fewer basketball players. If we compare the opportunity cost of basketball players, well, then we'll see that the United States can produce one basketball player using up fewer hockey players, and therefore they would have a lower opportunity cost, because 1.06 repeated is lower than 6.25. Now, to summarize what we just said, Canada can produce hockey players with a lower opportunity cost than the United States. Therefore, Canada has a comparative advantage in the production of hockey players. On the other hand, the United States can produce basketball players with a lower opportunity cost than Canada. Therefore, the United States have a comparative advantage in the production of basketball players. Now, there's one more very important note that you need to remember when looking at comparative advantage. It is mathematically impossible for one country to have a comparative advantage in the production of both goods. It is, however, possible for the same country to have an absolute advantage in both goods. In fact, in our example, the United States had an absolute advantage in producing both players. However, if you're working on a problem in your economics class and you ever get the result that a single country has a comparative advantage in both goods, you know for a fact that's incorrect. It has to be. This will also save you time on a test. If you calculate that one nation has a comparative advantage in one good, well then you know for a fact that the other country has the comparative advantage in the other good. If you're interested in a video going into the math of this specifically, well let me know in the comment section. If you found this video helpful, let us know by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and of course let us know in the comment section what sort of economic topics or homework questions you'd like to see us cover in the future. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll catch you in the next.